Welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Steve Van Eierstein. Thank you all for joining me again today for the March 18th reading of James Allen's Daily Meditations. The last couple days have given us some actions to take to pursue the spiritual life, and also some of the rewards that the spiritual life will bring. And sometimes we need to know these things. We need to kind of see what that end goal will bring us, though there's no clear way of how it's going to look for each individual, what the path is going to 100% look like, the challenges a person's going to a person's going to have to go through on their own. But the gifts of the spiritual way of life, that walking the spiritual walk, as this podcast is called, is incredible. It's all growth, and it's amazing to be right there with that. So I'm looking forward to what today's is. So let's go ahead. We'll start with March 18th of James Allen's Daily Meditation. This will be fresh to you and fresh to me, by the way, meaning you'll get my genuine response, reaction, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. And the first time I read this will be right now. Impatience is the handmaid of impulse, and never helped any man. You will be greatly helped if you devote at least 1 hour every day to quiet meditation on lofty moral subjects and their application to everyday life. In this way, you will cultivate a calm, quiet strength, and when develop right perception and correct judgment. Do not be anxious to hurry matters. Do your duty to the very uttermost. Live a disciplined and self-denying life. Conquer impulse and guide your actions by moral and spiritual principles, as distinguished from your feelings, firmly believing that your object will be, in its own time, completely accomplished. Still go on becoming, and as you grow more perfect, you will make fewer mistakes and will suffer less. Whew. That last line, that's fantastic. I believe that's really referring to the narrowing path. The name of this podcast is The Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Life. And that last line sums it up perfectly. Still go on becoming. Walk the spiritual walk. As you grow more perfect, as we grow towards these ideals we have, you will make fewer mistakes and will suffer less. The path starts getting narrower. As you have experiences, you'll make less mistakes. You'll recognize your selfishness, your self-centeredness, your emotional nature, the impulsivity of your decisions, and eventually, through experience and understanding and meditation and that contact with that power greater than yourself, a God of your understanding, or however you want to phrase that, the path becomes pretty clear. Which is actually, might sound intimidating, but a narrower path gives more forward direction. You don't meander as much. It's purposeful. And that can have a lot of benefits. So, that was just to make a comment on that last line. That was beautiful. I really, really love that last line, and to see it bookended. That was the last one. So the front one, the very first line it opened with, is impatience is a handmaid of impulse and never helped any man. I mean, and that's true. When I get impatient, I start to make impulsive decisions. I agree with that completely. I start to make decisions based upon that feeling of impatience, or restlessness, really is what it is. We call it impatience, but it's restless. We're restless. We want it done now. Whatever it is, we want to be there now. We want that accomplished now. We want to have this thing now, this person to behave the way we want them to now. It's we want to be where, even with our spirituality, it's a process. It is a growth. It is a journey to be enjoyed and experienced. It's not an overnight miracle that can happen. That's pretty important to understand. You don't just suddenly wake up better. You don't suddenly wake up spiritual. You wake up with a desire to be more spiritual. And you walk with that desire for a long time. Or aspiration is actually what they call it. And this is what James Allen's labeled it here. So, impatience is a handmaid of impulse. Never helped any man. I can tell you just from observations, and I can tell you just from my own personal experience. This is a very true statement. Impatience is the handmaid of impulse and never helped any man. The main body of this reading for the 18th goes like this. You will be greatly helped if you devote at least 1 hour every day to quiet meditation on lofty moral subjects and their application to everyday life. I think that is a phenomenal piece of advice, or exercise, really. Because that's really what we're talking about here. This is an exercise we get to take in our spiritual journey. And for myself personally, when I take at least some time, I wish I could tell you that I will always now take an hour to myself without the phone, an hour to myself not at work, an hour to myself not interacting with others, just an hour of solitude every day. But I'd be lying. I don't always get an hour. Honestly, truth be told, I very rarely get a full hour. I do get 30 minutes, though. I do get 45. Sometimes, though, I only get 5 or 10. And that'll have to do for that day. But even any amount of time spent in a day meditating on lofty moral principles, subjects, and their application in everyday life will benefit you. It is a great place to start. And I aspire to have it more consistently for a longer length of time in my life. I can't ignore life by any means, but I would like to. One of my own personal goals and one of my own personal directions I'm taking here is to be more diligent about that, more intentional about that practice of setting that hour aside every day to quiet meditation on lofty moral subjects and their application to everyday life. And let's take a look at that sentence too, because meditation commonly is referred to as a place of non-thought. People, well, my mind's always running. Well, that's a mind for you. I mean, I have in my own personal practice of meditation gotten to a point where I feel like I could say I have no thoughts. I'm completely present in the moment with my higher power. Just feeling and just experiencing what my body's feeling. And just letting the noises sink in and things like that. It's just the mind's not working in overdrive to produce thoughts for me to comprehend. It's just being. So I've gotten there, but this is not the context that he's using. Quiet meditation on lofty moral subjects and their application to everyday life. So he's saying in this hour, contemplate love and how that looks like in your life, what it means and how you apply it. Bring certain people into it. How do I be loving to this person? How do I be forgiving to this person? How do I be hopeful in my life? How do I have faith in my life in this instance? How do I practice forgiveness, compassion? How do I be of service? Contemplate these things in all aspects of your life too, right? Because this is not a small affair. The more time we devote to these spiritual applications, rather than our social media profile, rather than our concern with material goods and things like that, or video games or movies or what TV show we're watching. Take the time to contemplate the ideals and values and principles that you want in your life and what it looks like in your life. Excuse me. So yeah, this is not the meditation of removing thought, getting to that place of non-thought. This is directing thought. Okay? All right. In this way, you will cultivate a calm, quiet strength and win, develop, right, and their application to everyday life. I'm sorry, I misread that. In this way, you will cultivate a calm, quiet strength and win, develop, right perception and correct judgment. I feel like I read the wrong line as the second half because it went down to the next line. So when we do these things, it gives us insight on how to act in situations, on how to be with somebody. And I can tell you, since I've been doing this regularly, I've gotten clarity on this stuff, and like it puts me in a position that when I have circumstances arise with certain people, I can do this quicker because I've thought these things through. I've thought the application of these things through prior to the circumstance happening in meditation. Or I've had a situation happen and I want to, and I know I could handle it better. And that's where that self-reflection in meditation comes in. And we do these things, and it provides us a feeling of calm and strength, calm and quiet strength, to win and develop a right perception and correct judgment. This is an important part, though. Do not be anxious to hurry matters. Do your duty to the very utmost. Live a disciplined and self-denying life. Conquer impulse and guide your actions by moral and spiritual principles as distinguished from your feelings, firmly believing that your object will be, in its own time, completely accomplished. That's a big sentence right there. Do not be anxious to hurry matters. That's kind of going back to the impulse thing, the impatience, right? So it's just saying allow things to take the time they take. And I can tell you, when you start practicing these things, this hour of contemplation and meditation in the morning, you will improve quicker than you realize. That's the amazing part. That's what has changed a lot of my understanding, because we want to go so fast at this and be so different than where we are right now. But the reality of it is, it goes quicker than you even could realize. So don't be impatient. All you can do is slow yourself down. But this is all one sentence, actually, as per this book I'm reading from. Do your duty to the very utmost. So still handle your responsibilities. Still be accountable for your responsibilities. Live a disciplined and self-denying life. Don't give in to impulse and pleasure-seeking behaviors. Don't give in to these self-aggrandizing beliefs or these ego-driven actions and thoughts. Live a disciplined life. Make sure you're doing the things that are right to do, not just the things that feel right to do. Because sometimes, I can tell you, just this shows up in the perspective of physical health, in what I eat, and my sleeping patterns, and in my exercise routines, right? Like, discipline will get you so much farther than you ever could realize. I didn't know that. I was a very undisciplined man for a long time. I can proudly say I've learned some discipline since I've gotten sober. And these are things that, with your spirituality, with your mental health, with everything, be disciplined. Live a disciplined and self-denying life. Conquer impulse and guide your actions by moral and spiritual principles as distinguished from your feelings. Firmly believing that your object will be, in its own time, completely accomplished. That's the thing. Right there. But I guess that's what I was just saying. Conquer impulse. I'm just going to come right up to it, and then I'm going to skip the gym today. I'm just not feeling like going. You go anyway. It's okay. A common phrase I use is, it's okay that I don't feel like going to the gym, but I'm going to go anyway. I acknowledge feelings a lot of time. I acknowledge that I have this sensation going on, or this feeling going on in myself, and that's okay. But they don't need to dictate my actions anymore. I'll say that out loud. It's okay you don't feel like going, but you're going to go anyways. It's okay that you feel like eating the box of Oreos, but you're not going to. These are the self-denying things that I've had to learn for myself, right? And the impulses that come up that I've had to learn to navigate. Guide your actions by moral and spiritual principles, right? By discipline, love of yourself and love of others, love of God or your creator or universe or nature, whatever falls into that category for you, right? And that will, and the spiritual principles. So like the honesty, the virtues we've talked about often on this podcast. Guide yourself by those moral and spiritual principles as distinguished from your feelings. There's a very big separation. Sometimes I will feel like not being honest, but that's okay. I'm going to be honest anyway. It's not easy. It's not easy doing that. It's just not. As much as I'd like to say it is, it isn't. It gets easier, I will give you that, but it's not always easy. Firmly believing that your object will be in its own time completely accomplished. Having faith, having a belief, a faith that what you're striving for will be accomplished one day, as long as you do the things that you're supposed to be doing. A lot of these actions, a lot of these things are born from faith. Faith that living this way of life will bring you a life that you couldn't even comprehend or imagine, but is one better than you could have. That if a life that if you had gotten what you wanted, you would have shorted yourself. That's what I've realized, just with the life I have today. And then we go on, and the last statement that I've talked about, still go on becoming. As you grow more perfect, you will make fewer mistakes and will suffer less. Keep walking that path, and if it's narrowing, if you're making improvements, if you're realizing that the right thing to do is different from what you've been doing in some area, or some just little tweak to how you're thinking, every little baby step helps. And a lot of that gets worked out. And a lot of that gets realized and adjusted and corrected in meditation and prayer, and then in practice. Purifying the mind and the thoughts will lead to a pure heart, which lets it function from a place of love. And that drives purer thoughts, and that drives purer actions. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm gone way over today, up to 19 minutes again. I apologize for running late, but it's just one of a reading that I relate to a lot to. I can verify is completely true, and I just was grateful to read that today. So thank y'all for joining me today, and I'm looking forward to the 19th. We're just going to keep rolling right along, obviously, and thanks for everyone that jumps on with me. So here we go. Until next time, thanks.